Welcome to the UFO Enigma on an uncharted planet. Commander Chase Nolan's escape pod crashes, leading him to a world of ancient traditions and alien encounters. This is just the beginning. Welcome to the UFO Enigma. Scene 1, The Crash Landing, Introduction. Chase's escape pod had entered the alien atmosphere with a violent shudder, sending a ripple of energy through the craft. The deep groan of failing heat shields echoed in the confined space, an unsettling sound that only amplified his growing sense of dread. A cascade of warning lights flashed in rapid succession across the console, casting his face in a sickly crimson hue. His fingers gripped the manual control stick tightly, the sweat on his palms mixing with the pressure of his grip. The pod, once sleek and resilient, now felt like a mere toy being tossed through the air, as though it was at the mercy of some unseen force. Chase's breath quickened, and his voice cracked as he cursed under his breath, urging the craft to hold together. His eyes darted to the console as the pod spiraled further out of control. "Come on, you piece of junk. Hold together." The words were barely a whisper, lost beneath the violent rattle of metal and the groan of tearing metal. The pod began its descent into the dense atmosphere, tumbling and spinning as if caught in an invisible vortex. Outside the viewport, the world below grew larger, an endless stretch of alien landscape. Suddenly, with a bone-shaking jolt, the pod slammed into the planet's surface. The crash reverberated through Chase's bones, throwing him violently against the seat restraints. For a brief moment, everything was still. His head throbbed with pain, the force of the crash leaving a trickle of blood running down his forehead, though it was nothing compared to the shock that still pulsed in his chest. The familiar hum of the pod's systems died down into an eerie silence, leaving only the harsh rhythm of his own labored breathing. Chase fought against the straps, his hands trembling as he freed himself from the seat. His head spun, vision blurry from both the blood loss and the disorientation. Staggering to his feet, he reached for the survival pack. Survival pack. I need to find water. The pack clinked with the promise of basic necessities, but it did little to calm his nerves. He limped toward the hatch, forcing it open with a reluctant groan of protest from the pod's battered frame. A rush of cool, surprisingly breathable air poured in, fresh and untouched by the technological pollution he was accustomed to. As he stepped into the unknown, his senses were immediately assaulted by the otherworldly atmosphere. The forest before him was unlike anything he had ever seen. Towering trees stretched impossibly high, their trunks thick and gnarled, covered in luminous moss that pulsed with an eerie glow. Their iridescent leaves shimmered in colors Chase couldn't fully comprehend, reflecting hues that seemed to change with every blink. The air was thick with the scent of alien flora, sweet, earthy, and unfamiliar. The forest, alive and pulsing with energy, whispered secrets in the breeze. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, distant rustling, the flutter of wings, the occasional snap of branches. It was a reminder that, although the environment appeared tranquil, it was not without danger. His instincts screamed at him, the hair on the back of his neck standing on end as if something, or someone, was watching him. His pulse raced as he moved deeper into the forest. The heavy scent of the trees filled his lungs, mingling with the coolness of the air. His eyes darted between the dense foliage, searching for any sign of life or shelter. As his feet crunched softly against the alien underbrush, the movement behind him intensified. A faint sound, almost imperceptible, echoed through the trees, too deliberate to be the wind. Someone, or something, was following him. Chase's hand instinctively reached for the pulse pistol at his side, but he knew it was not enough. Survival here would require more than just his weapon. His senses sharpened, every fiber of his being alert, as he continued through the thick, glowing undergrowth. The weight of uncertainty settled around him. What awaited him in this foreign land? Would he find help, or would he be consumed by the mysteries of the forest? The air is thick with moisture, and an almost ethereal mist clings to the ground, curling around Chase's boots as he steps deeper into the alien wilderness. Each breath feels unfamiliar, the air laced with strange, almost metallic undertones. As he takes in the alien world around him, the overwhelming sense of something ancient and alive presses down on his senses. The trees around him tower like ancient guardians, their trunks massive, their bark shimmering with an iridescent sheen, almost like they've been dusted with stardust. The leaves, a brilliant combination of emerald and turquoise, seem to ripple in the breeze, reflecting light in strange, unearthly patterns. It's as though the very forest hums with energy, an undercurrent of power that vibrates in his bones. The sky above is not blue but a muted lavender, a soft, twilight-like glow stretching across the horizon. The sun here is an unfamiliar orb larger than Earth's, its light strangely diffused, casting a glowing, surreal quality across everything. The shadows seem to grow and retract in odd ways, and the air smells of damp earth mixed with a sweet, tangy scent that makes Chase's head spin. As Chase moves forward, he notices the forest floor is alive with movement. Tall, fern-like plants stretch toward the sky, their fronds swaying as if to some unseen rhythm. The ground beneath his feet is soft but firm, almost springy, as though the very earth is breathing with him. But something isn't right. His instincts are on edge. He's not alone. A soft rustling behind him makes him freeze. His heart pounds in his chest as the hair on the back of his neck stands on end. A shadow darts between the trees. He whips around, pulse pistol already in hand, but the figure vanishes. A fleeting sense of being watched creeps over him, the hairs on his skin prickling. Suddenly, the quiet of the forest is broken by a sharp, whistling sound, something cutting through the air, coming at him too fast for him to react. Instinct kicks in. Without thinking, Chase's hand snaps up, fingers closing around the shaft of an arrow that hurls toward his face. His breath catches in his throat. He stares at the sleek, silver shaft, its tip gleaming like liquid metal in the dim light. Chase, in disbelief. Did someone just try to kill me? His gaze darts to the edge of the clearing, where a shadow moves silently, almost ghost-like. His mind races, but he doesn't have time to think before a figure steps into the clearing. The woman before him is unlike anything he's ever seen. She's tall, taller than most humans, with skin that's an unnaturally perfect shade of white like moonlight itself. Her hair cascades down her back, a brilliant silver that seems to shimmer with its own light. Her eyes, though, are the most unsettling. They're large and almond-shaped, the color of pale blue ice, glowing faintly with an inner light. They hold no warmth, no expression, only a kind of detached curiosity. She's clad in sleek, form-fitting armor that catches the light in a way that seems almost alive, the black material seeming to ripple like liquid. A quiver of arrows rests at her side, and she holds a long, elegant bow, crafted from a silvery metal that hums with power. Despite the sleekness of her appearance, there's an unmistakable presence about her, a warrior's grace. She steps forward, the movement smooth and deliberate. A soft gasp escapes her lips when her gaze falls upon the arrow still clenched in Chase's hand. There's a moment of stunned silence before she speaks, her voice melodic but foreign. Her words have an odd cadence, almost musical, a language Chase can't even begin to comprehend. Laria, alien woman, speaks in an unknown tongue, her voice high-pitched and urgent. Chase, holding up the arrow. Look, I caught it. But you shot it at me. I don't want trouble. The woman's eyes narrow at him, her expression unreadable, then flickers with what seems to be a mix of shock and something else, dismay. She takes a step back, eyes fixed on the arrow, as if trying to come to terms with something she cannot understand. Then, after a long pause, she slings the bow across her back and steps toward him with slow, measured movements. Her gaze locks on him, silent but intense. There is a weight to the air now, an almost palpable pressure, as if every movement, every glance carries centuries of meaning. Finally, she holds out her hand to him, palm up, a simple request to return the arrow. "Laria," softly, her voice now resigned. "You caught it." Chase hesitates, but something in her demeanor tells him that this moment is far from ordinary. With a slow breath, he places the arrow in her outstretched hand, careful not to make any sudden movements. "Chase. I'm Chase Nolan." He taps his chest. The woman doesn't respond at first, merely studying him with her piercing, glowing eyes. Then, after a long pause, she touches her chest, the movement delicate but deliberate. "Laria. Laria." Her voice rings like a bell, melodic, and for some reason, it calms the tension that has been building in Chase's chest. Then, Laria raises the arrow again between them, her expression shifting to something far more serious, even grim. She gestures between the two of them, first at the arrow, then at him, then back to herself. Her eyes meet his, waiting for him to understand. Chase, confused. "What is it? What does this mean?" Laria's lips press into a thin line, and with a soft sigh, she reaches for his wrist, her touch cold but firm. She tugs gently, indicating that he should follow her. Reluctantly, Chase falls into step behind her, his mind racing with questions. But there's no time to process, he needs to stay alert. Chase, muttering to himself. "What the hell have I gotten myself into?" Laria leads him through the dense underbrush, her movements fluid and swift. She navigates the forest with an ease that speaks of years, no, lifetimes spent among these trees. Chase, in comparison, is a clumsy, out-of-place human. But something about her poise, her strength makes him feel both odd and deeply out of his element. They move for what feels like hours, weaving between ancient trees with bark that seems to pulse faintly, almost alive. The air here is thick with an otherworldly energy, a hum beneath the surface that calls to him, though he doesn't yet understand why. As they approach a clearing, the forest begins to open up. The trees become less dense, and Chase glimpses a series of structures ahead, dwellings built into the massive trees, connected by graceful bridges and platforms. The sight is otherworldly, as if he's stepped into some ancient civilization, hidden from the rest of the universe for eons. Figures emerge from the settlement. Women, all with the same snow-white skin, silver hair, and sharp, watchful eyes. They are armed, some with bows, others with curved blades that glint with deadly intent. They form a loose circle around him, their voices rising in an alien tongue, speaking to one another in quick, fluid exchanges. Some look curious, others hostile, but all are watching Chase like a strange creature they've never seen before. Laria speaks to them, her voice now commanding and full of authority. The women fall silent, their attention shifting from him to her. The tension in the air thickens again, and Chase feels the weight of the moment settle over him like a heavy cloak. Something important is about to happen. But he doesn't yet know what. The forest ahead seems to open up into a vast, otherworldly clearing, and as they step through the dense underbrush, the landscape shifts dramatically. Before Chase lies a settlement unlike anything he has ever seen. Towering trees stretch into the sky, their trunks wide enough to house entire structures built seamlessly into the natural world. The branches twist and stretch outward, forming intricate bridges of woven vines and natural fibers that sway gently in the breeze, connecting tree to tree in a network of organic pathways. The light filters through the canopy in beams, casting an ethereal glow over the settlement below. Glowing crystal lamps, suspended by delicate threads of vine, hang from the branches, their soft, warm light flickering like distant stars. The soft hum of energy vibrates in the air, as though the crystals themselves are alive, their light pulsing in rhythm with the natural heartbeat of the forest. The air here is cooler, filled with the scent of damp moss and fresh wood, and there's a feeling of tranquility, though underneath it all, an undeniable tension hums just beneath the surface. Chase follows Laria as she moves with purpose, her long silver hair flowing behind her like a living mist, her posture straight and dignified. As they approach the center of the settlement, Chase's senses heighten. Figures step from the shadows between the trees, each of them tall, with skin as pale as moonlight and hair that shimmers like silver. Their eyes gleam in shades of blue that seem to pulse with an inner light, and their forms are clad in sleek, intricately designed armor that hugs their bodies like a second skin. They move with grace, their steps quiet but purposeful, as if they are part of the very forest itself. Laria steps forward into the center of a circle, where several other women stand, their expressions ranging from cautious curiosity to cold hostility. They stare at Chase with an intensity that makes him feel like an intruder, their eyes sharp, sizing him up. Each of them is armed, some with long, curved swords, others with bows that gleam in the fading light, their weapons held close, ready to strike. The air is thick with tension, and Chase can feel their gaze like a weight pressing down on him. Laria speaks to the group in their native language, her voice a soft melody that flows effortlessly through the air. Her words are like music, but they carry a weight that Chase can't quite understand. The women listen intently, their posture shifting slightly as they exchange glances. Then, from the back of the group, an elder steps forward. Her hair is more silver than white, and her face, though beautiful, bears the marks of age, the lines of experience etched deeply into her features. She moves slowly, deliberately, and with each step, the forest seems to quiet around her. The elder reaches out, her fingers cool against Chase's skin, and places her hand gently on his temples. A strange sensation floods his mind like a rush of water pouring into an empty vessel. His thoughts swirl, his senses blur as if reality itself is bending. Then, like a veil being lifted, the fog clears, and he can feel her presence in his mind, a quiet hum of power and understanding. It is unlike anything he's ever felt before, intimate, invasive, and profoundly alien. Elder Maris, her voice soft but powerful, echoing within his mind. Chase Nolan. You caught the arrow of Laria. Do you understand the bond? Chase blinks, disoriented. His mind is still reeling from the sudden intrusion, his pulse racing as he tries to focus. Chase, stumbling over his words, still feeling the lingering effects of the neural link. I caught it. But what does that mean? The elder's eyes, pale blue and sharp, hold his gaze, her expression unwavering, as though she's been waiting for this moment for centuries. Elder Maris, her voice calm, deliberate. In our culture, the one who catches the arrow of a huntress becomes her mate. You have proven yourself her equal in skill and reflexes. This bond is sacred. Chase's head spins as he processes the words, each one sinking deeper into his mind, mixing with the flood of alien sensations. His heart pounds against his chest, his breath shallow as he tries to understand. His mind races, trying to find logic in this bizarre situation, but it feels like the rules of this place are too far outside his comprehension. Chase, staring at Laria, his voice barely a whisper, a mix of confusion and disbelief. "I'm not one of your people. I don't even understand your customs." The elder's eyes soften ever so slightly, but the weight of her words does not lessen. Her fingers remain on his temples, and with them, the unspoken pressure of the entire settlement seems to focus on him, watching, waiting. "Elder Maris," her voice firm, unyielding. "Traditions are absolute. You have until the third moon rises to accept or refuse." Her words are like the toll of a bell, a final declaration. There's no room for negotiation, no space for anything other than compliance. This is the way of their people, and by catching the arrow, Chase has unknowingly entered into something far larger than a simple accident. As the elder withdraws her hand, the sensation of the neural link fades, leaving him dizzy, disoriented, and more uncertain than ever. The other women stand around him, their expressions unreadable, though some glance at each other with what might be sympathy, while others maintain their cold hostility. Laria stands slightly apart from the group, her posture tense, her eyes fixed on the ground. It's clear that she, too, is not pleased with what's unfolding, though the reasons behind her discomfort remain a mystery. Chase's mind races as the reality of the situation begins to sink in. He didn't come here by choice. He didn't ask for this. And yet, the sacred traditions of this alien world have bound him to it, whether he likes it or not. The sound of the wind rustling through the trees fills the heavy silence, and the settlement's strange, haunting beauty seems to press down on him from every angle. The air feels thicker here, like it's charged with something ancient, something powerful. As the evening sky deepens into shades of purple and blue, the sounds of the forest intensify, the call of distant creatures, the murmur of the leaves swaying in the wind, the quiet rhythm of the world around him. Chase's heart races. His survival instincts scream that he's in over his head. But as he stands there, surrounded by these strange people and their customs, something in him stirs a feeling of inevitability. He doesn't know what comes next, but he knows he'll have to make a choice. A choice that could shape not just his fate, but the fate of everyone around him. The third moon will rise soon enough. And when it does, the future of Chase Nolan and the mysterious world he's crash-landed on will be forever changed. The day before the third moon rises, the atmosphere in the settlement grows heavy with anticipation. The once harmonious hum of the forest now seems distant, muted by the palpable tension that fills the air. The usual rustling of the leaves feels almost unnatural, as though the trees themselves are holding their breath. It is in the heart of the settlement's training grounds that the tension becomes most apparent. The clearing is expansive, bordered by towering trees that stretch high above, their bark smooth and dark, like obsidian pillars reaching into the heavens. The training ground is a stark contrast to the serene beauty of the settlement itself. Here, the forest has been cleared, the ground hardened and compacted by years of use. The earth is dotted with large, moss-covered stones, some stacked high in precarious formations, others scattered like ancient relics of a forgotten battle. The air is thick with the scent of damp soil, and the faint hum of energy from the crystal lamps that light the area creates an eerie glow around the perimeter. Laria stands at the edge of the clearing, her silver hair pulled back tightly into a warrior's braid, her expression unreadable. The weight of her armor seems to press down on her, a constant reminder of the bond that she never asked for. Her eyes, usually bright and full of energy, now seem clouded with uncertainty and sorrow. She glances toward Chase occasionally, but her gaze is always fleeting, as if afraid to meet his eyes for too long. Her every movement is stiff, as though she is going through the motions of life but not truly living it. Chase watches her from a distance, his mind racing. The events of the past few days have left him feeling more like an outsider than ever. The constant weight of the sacred bond he's unwillingly been thrust into hangs heavily around him. He never wanted any of this, never sought to be a part of their customs, their traditions, or their politics. But fate, it seems, has other plans. The challenge arrives with the thundering footsteps of a massive figure. Thelen, the war leader of the Silvery, strides into the clearing with the force of a storm. His armor gleams in the pale light of the glowing crystals, a mixture of black and silver that reflects the firelight, casting an almost ghostly glow around him. He is tall, imposing, his body built like a fortress, with muscles that ripple beneath the dark plating of his chest and arms. His eyes, pale and unyielding, lock onto Chase with an intensity that could melt steel. The crowd of women warriors that have gathered around falls into a hushed silence as Thelen approaches. His every step is measured, purposeful, the power emanating from him like a tangible force that seems to press down on those who dare to stand in his way. Thelen, his voice deep, a growl of authority. You are not one of us. You cannot claim what is mine. The words hang in the air, cold and sharp, slicing through the tension like a blade through silk. His gaze flickers to Laria, a look of possessiveness in his eyes. The bond between them, though never formalized, has always been understood. His eyes narrow as he turns back to Chase. Chase stands tall, his fists clenched at his sides. His body is taut with the anticipation of what's to come. He doesn't want this fight, doesn't want to be caught in the middle of a culture he doesn't understand, but he knows the stakes. If he refuses, it could mean war. If he accepts, he may lose everything. The weight of the choice settles on his shoulders like a stone. Chase, his voice steady, though his heart races. I didn't ask for this, Thelen. I'm not your enemy. Thelen, snarling. Then prove it. Thelen's challenge is as much about pride as it is about tradition. To him, Chase is a trespasser, an interloper who has disrespected the Silvery Way. He cannot abide the thought of an outsider taking what he believes is rightfully his. He steps forward, the earth trembling slightly beneath his feet as his power radiates outward, a physical manifestation of his dominance. Thelen, commanding, his voice booming. You will face me in the trials, human. You will learn what it means to truly fight for something. A murmur ripples through the crowd as Thelen's warriors begin to arrange the clearing for the upcoming challenge. The air crackles with energy, the crystal lamps overhead casting shifting patterns of light across the ground. The once serene training grounds now feel like a battlefield, the very atmosphere thick with the promise of violence and the weight of tradition. Chase looks at Laria, her face a mask of resignation, her gaze now turned downward as she grips the hilt of her blade. There is no joy in this for her, no sense of victory. She is trapped, just as much as he is. But she says nothing, her silence louder than words. The first trial will test strength, the second skill, and the third cunning. Each challenge will push Chase to his physical and mental limits. His mind races as he prepares for the first trial. He knows he is at a disadvantage. Thelen is a warrior born, his entire life shaped by combat. But Chase has faced impossible odds before, and he's not about to back down now. Chase, to himself, under his breath. I didn't come here to lose. As the preparations for the trials continue, Chase steps forward, his mind focused, his body ready. The dense forest around the training grounds feels like it's watching him, its ancient trees towering above like silent witnesses to the test of honor about to unfold. In the distance, the glowing crystal lamps cast long shadows, their light flickering like the pulse of a heart, a reminder that the time for the challenge is almost at hand. The weight of the bond, the pressure of the trials, and the scrutiny of the Silvery people all converge in this moment. The challenge of honor has begun, and only one will walk away unscathed. The clearing is tense with anticipation, the air humming with an unnatural stillness, as if the very forest around them is holding its breath. The field before Chase and Thelen is a marked expanse of earth, softened by the glow of the crystal lamps hanging from the surrounding trees. Their flickering light reflects off the polished surfaces of their bows, casting an ethereal gleam onto the participants as they prepare for the first trial. The targets are set at varying distances, their round centers glowing with an otherworldly energy, pulsing faintly as if alive. The first is the size of a small moon, its edges sharp and well-defined, standing just beyond a field of rocks. The others shrink progressively, their colors blending into the natural surroundings. Some targets hover slightly above the ground, held by glowing tendrils of energy that suspend them in midair. The atmosphere is tense, the once vibrant chirps of forest creatures now reduced to a silence that feels all-encompassing. Chase and Thelen stand at opposite ends of the field, both preparing their bows. The weapon in Thelen's hands is a masterpiece, elegant and crafted from silvery material that catches the light with each movement. Its string seems impossibly taut, and as he nocks an arrow, the surrounding air shimmers, charged with energy. Thelen's movements are fluid and practiced, his expression set in a mask of cold confidence. He draws the bowstring back with effortless power, his muscles rippling beneath his armor. The arrow flies with the speed of a lightning strike, cutting through the stillness, and with a sharp thud, it strikes the target near its center. The crowd murmurs in approval, their eyes fixed on the war leader, who stands tall, unflinching, as if his victory is already assured. Thelen steps back with a nod, his gaze meeting Chase's. His eyes narrow slightly, a flicker of disdain hidden beneath the surface, as if daring Chase to prove himself. The crowd's energy shifts slightly, a ripple of expectation filling the air as the pressure mounts on Chase to match or surpass Thelen's mark. Chase steps forward, feeling the weight of the moment, the earth beneath his boots steadying him. The bow in his hands feels heavier than it looks, the wood smooth but solid, like a living thing. The shaft of the arrow is cool against his fingers, a contrast to the rising heat in his chest. His eyes scan the targets, his breath slowing as he reaches deep within himself. The forest around him seems to disappear as his focus sharpens, every sound drowned out except for the rhythmic beating of his heart. The wind stirs ever so gently, rustling the leaves above and whispering through the tall grasses around him. It's then that Chase feels it, the faintest shift in the air, the subtle rhythm of nature that tells him the moment is right. With a practiced hand, he draws the bowstring back, his muscles taut with control. His gaze locks onto the second target, smaller and further than Thelen's, but within his reach. The tension in the clearing grows, as if the entire settlement is watching his every movement. Time slows. Chase's fingers release the arrow, and in an instant, the projectile shoots forward like a streak of silver lightning. It cuts through the air with a hum, the forest holding its breath as it flies toward its target. The arrow strikes the bullseye with a soft, almost imperceptible thunk, sinking slightly deeper than Thelen's, barely a hair's width from the center. The crowd gasps, a collective breath held, then releases in a burst of astonished murmurs. The glowing target quivers with a soft pulse of light, as if recognizing the feat for a moment. Everything is still, Chase's heart racing in his chest, the distant hum of the forest returning. Elder Maris, her voice cutting through the tension, calm but commanding. The first victory goes to Chase Nolan. A hushed silence falls over the crowd, a moment of disbelief hanging in the air before the murmurs grow louder, some voices filled with surprise, others with grudging respect. The women around the field exchange glances, their eyes wide, some nodding in approval, while others remain locked in skepticism, their faces betraying a mix of admiration and disbelief. Laria stands among them, her eyes fixed on Chase. There's a flicker of something in her expression, perhaps surprise, perhaps a deeper understanding. Her posture remains poised, but there is a subtle shift in the way she carries herself, her stance loosening ever so slightly, as if she's been unconsciously holding her breath. Chase, though still standing in the midst of the field, allows himself the smallest of smiles, though his eyes remain locked on Thelen. He feels the weight of the moment, the first trial, a tentative victory, but one that is not yet fully earned. He knows this is only the beginning, and the path ahead is still fraught with uncertainty. But for now, he's earned a fleeting victory, and for the first time since his crash, the weight on his shoulders feels just a little lighter. The atmosphere in the clearing is thick with anticipation, charged with a primal energy that feels almost tangible. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and moss, the sounds of the forest muffled as if even nature itself is waiting for the outcome. In the center of the arena, a massive stone pillar stands, its surface smooth and worn, as though it has been there for centuries. The stone is large, at least 10 feet tall and 3 feet wide, a monolith that towers above the ground like an ancient relic. Its dark surface is streaked with veins of silver that seem to shimmer faintly in the soft light of the glowing crystal lamps hanging from the trees. The entire arena is encircled by a high stone wall, the top of which is crowned with twisting vines and branches that stretch out in all directions, cradling the spectacle like a living, breathing amphitheater. The challenge ahead is one of pure strength. Each contestant must move this massive pillar from its place in the center of the arena to the outer ring, marked by glowing stones that pulse with energy, casting eerie, shifting shadows across the ground. The crowd stands on wooden platforms, their eyes fixed on the contestants, some with quiet curiosity, others with a palpable hunger for the spectacle to come. Chase and Thelen stand opposite the stone pillar, both facing the task ahead. Thelen steps forward first, his broad frame brimming with raw power, his muscles bulging beneath his ornate armor. He plants his feet firmly, his body tense as he braces against the stone. With a grunt of exertion, he throws his weight against the pillar, pushing with all his might. His breath comes in ragged gasps as the stone shifts ever so slightly, the ground beneath him groaning in protest. Sweat beads on his forehead, his face a mask of determination as he heaves once more. Slowly, agonizingly, the stone begins to move, inch by inch, as the crowd watches in rapt silence, their eyes wide with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Thelen's face flushes with exertion, his movements jerky and forceful. The stone creaks and groans under the strain, but it's clear he is making progress, his sheer physical strength slowly but steadily pushing the pillar closer to the edge of the arena. His breath is loud in the silence, his every muscle straining as he leans into the task. Yet, despite his impressive strength, there's an undeniable weariness in his movements, the effort costing him more than he anticipated. His brow furrows, the veins in his neck standing out as he struggles to make any further headway. Chase, standing quietly at his side, watches closely, studying the stone with a calculating gaze. His breath is steady, his posture relaxed, in stark contrast to Thelen's forceful, all-out effort. His mind shifts into gear, the years of training and experience in strategy and engineering coming to the forefront. His eyes scan the pillar, noting the smoothness of its base, the way it rests unevenly on the ground. His thoughts race through calculations of force and leverage, the physics of motion clear in his mind. Chase steps forward, his movements precise and deliberate. He circles the pillar, sizing it up as he reaches into his survival pack for a sturdy length of vine. The crowd watches, murmuring in confusion, unsure of what he's planning. He carefully wraps the vine around the base of the stone, knotting it securely, then loops the other end around a large rock nearby. With a quick tug, he checks the tension, ensuring the vine is tight. He takes a deep breath, focusing on the task at hand. Instead of pushing with brute force, Chase shifts his positioning himself at a sharp angle, using his weight and the strength of his legs to pull on the vine. He plants his feet into the earth, feeling the vibrations of the stone beneath him as he leans into the pull. The stone shifts. Slowly, inch by inch, the massive pillar begins to move, rolling along the uneven ground with surprising ease. The leverage provided by the vine and the angle of his stance allows him to move the pillar more efficiently than Thelen ever could with sheer force alone. His body is a machine, the controlled, calculated movements allowing him to conserve energy, even as the sweat drips down his brow. Chase's progress is steady, his technique flawless as he guides the stone along the path, using every ounce of his knowledge of physics to his advantage. He stumbles only once, his grip slipping slightly as the stone lurches, but he quickly regains control, adjusting his approach. The crowd, once skeptical, begins to murmur with awe as they witness his ingenuity. Their eyes shift between him and Thelen, who is still struggling to move the pillar with sheer muscle, now clearly exhausted. As Chase reaches the outer ring, just a few yards from the glowing stones, the stone groans one final time, sliding into place with a soft, satisfying thud. The crowd erupts in a chorus of gasps and cheers, their voices rising in disbelief and admiration. Chase stands tall, his chest heaving, but a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips as he wipes the sweat from his forehead. He's exhausted, his muscles burning from the effort, but there's a quiet sense of triumph in his expression. Elder Maris, her voice calm but filled with authority. Chase Nolan wins the second trial. The declaration rings out, and for a moment, the world seems to hold its breath. The energy in the clearing shifts again, the tension thick with disbelief and the unspoken realization that Chase's approach has proven more effective than Thelen's brute force. Thelen, still standing at the center of the arena, grits his teeth in frustration, his shoulders heaving with each breath as his face flushes with a mixture of anger and grudging respect. The crowd's murmurs grow louder, their respect for Chase growing with each trial he conquers, but it's clear that Thelen will not take defeat lightly. Laria stands to the side, her expression unreadable, but there's a flicker in her eyes, an acknowledgement, perhaps, of the unexpected depth of Chase's capabilities. The challenge is far from over, but for now, the second trial belongs to him, his ingenuity and skill once again proving the key to victory. The labyrinth beneath the settlement is a place of darkness and mystery, a sprawling network of twisting stone corridors and narrow passages, carved into the very bones of the planet. The air is thick with the musty scent of ancient stone, mingling with the sharp, metallic tang of something far more sinister, something alive. The glow of the distant crystals above barely penetrates the deep shadows, casting eerie patterns of shifting light against the damp walls. The labyrinth is both alien and ancient, its design intricate and unfathomable, a maze built by an intelligence older than any civilization that now inhabits this world. Chase steps cautiously into the first passage, the sound of his footsteps muffled by the thick stone beneath him. The walls close in around him, and he feels a chill in the air, a sense that he's being watched. His senses are heightened, every fiber of his being tuned to the environment, prepared for whatever traps or dangers lie ahead. His survival training kicks in, his every move is calculated, his breathing controlled, as he mentally maps out his surroundings. The glow from the crystals, hanging from the ceiling like strange, ethereal lanterns, creates faint pools of light at intervals along the corridor, offering just enough illumination to guide his steps. The shadows, however, seem to creep and shift, as though alive, stretching and contracting with every breath he takes. Ahead, a faint sound breaks the silence, a soft rustling, almost imperceptible. Chase freezes, his hand instinctively reaching for the pulse pistol strapped to his side. The sound grows louder, and his instincts scream that something is wrong. The air around him seems to hum with tension. He moves forward carefully, listening closely. His eyes scan the path before him, catching glimpses of movement in the darkness. Something is out there. Then, as if materializing from the shadows, it appears, a shape, sleek and predatory, a dark figure that seems to blend into the very darkness itself. It's a shadow stalker, one of the planet's most dangerous creatures. Its body is low to the ground, its 6 limbs ending in razor-sharp claws that scrape against the stone as it moves. The creature's skin is covered in overlapping, segmented armor plates, each one glinting faintly in the dim light. Its head is featureless, dominated by sensory pits that seem to hum with the ability to detect heat and movement. The only indication of its presence is the faint click of its claws on the stone and the unnerving, rhythmic grasp of its breath. Chase's pulse quickens. He can feel the creature's presence, its attention drawn to him, as if it senses his warmth, his heartbeat. The air grows colder, the hairs on the back of his neck rising. It's coming closer. His mind races as he quickly assesses his situation. There's no time for a drawn-out fight. His best chance is to outsmart the predator. His eyes flick to the surroundings. His environment is a labyrinth, but there are tools within it. The walls are lined with jagged rock formations, uneven and full of shadows, perfect for setting a trap. Chase's mind moves like a blur. He's seen predators like this before, creatures that rely on their ability to sense heat and movement. The shadow stalker will be drawn to his warmth, and it won't hesitate to strike. But there's something it doesn't expect, something it can't see. Chase reaches into his pack, pulling out a handful of dust from a crushed crystal, the same powder that earlier had illuminated his path. He spreads it along the floor, just a few feet ahead of him. The fine dust is iridescent and seems to shimmer in the darkness, but it's more than just decorative. When the dust interacts with heat, it reflects it, creating a faint, glowing trail, a distraction. As the shadow stalker inches closer, Chase takes a deep breath, then steps sideways, ducking behind a jagged rock outcrop. The creature follows, its head swiveling as it detects his movement, but the glowing dust is now a beacon. The predator is momentarily confused, its attention fixed on the shimmering particles that appear to shift and swirl in the air. It's a brief moment of disorientation. That's all Chase needs. With a sudden burst of energy, he darts forward, moving swiftly, his steps quiet against the stone as he slips into another passage. The creature, distracted by the false trail, hesitates, then follows, its clicking claws scraping across the stone with a sharp, unsettling sound. But Chase is already ahead, moving faster now, using the narrow corridors to his advantage. His mind is focused, the labyrinth itself becoming a part of his strategy. He navigates through the twists and turns, his body moving on instinct, feeling the walls around him, calculating the quickest route. The passage narrows, the air becoming thicker, colder. The faint hum of the creature's pursuit is growing louder. He can't afford to make any mistakes now. He must reach the heart of the labyrinth first. As he turns a sharp corner, he sees it, the chamber at the heart of the labyrinth. The space opens up before him, a vast, circular room, its walls lined with ancient, glowing glyphs. At the center of the room floats a crystal, bathed in a soft, ethereal light. It pulses with a steady rhythm, as if alive, its glow filling the room with a strange, otherworldly energy. The heart of the labyrinth, the prize for which both he and Thelen have fought. Chase takes a step forward, his breath steady, the exhaustion of the trials weighing on him, but his determination stronger than ever. His eyes lock on the crystal as he approaches, his hand reaching for it. His pulse quickens, but it's not fear, it's the thrill of the challenge. He's made it. Just as his fingers brush against the surface of the crystal, a noise behind him like a rush of wind alerts him to the Shadow Stalker's return. But it's too late. He has claimed the prize, his hand now wrapped around the pulsating crystal. The glow intensifies for a moment, then fades as he lifts it from its pedestal. The labyrinth seems to hold its breath, the oppressive silence broken only by the faint hum of the crystal in his hand. He has won. The heart of the labyrinth is his. And as he stands there, bathed in its light, the knowledge of what this victory means begins to settle in. This is more than just a trial. This is a turning point, not just for him, but for Laria and for the fate of this alien world. The path ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The final trial has ended, and Chase Nolan has emerged victorious. The settlement, alive with the hum of ancient energy, echoes the soft reverberations of victory. Chase's return is met with silence, then a growing murmur of awe from the gathered Silvery. His once hard, battle-worn figure now stands victorious in the heart of their community, the pulse of the labyrinth's crystal still resonating in his hand, a symbol of the trials he has conquered. The air hums with tension, a mix of respect and apprehension as the Silvery warriors look on. Their eyes, so often cold and distant, now gleam with something else: recognition. They know he has earned his place, though they may never fully understand the strange customs of his world. Thelen, once so confident, stands at the edge of the crowd, his broad shoulders slumped in defeat. His gaze, filled with grudging respect, flickers between Chase and Laria. The war leader's pride has been shattered, but the weight of his defeat is heavy on his chest. His eyes narrow, but he steps forward, forced by the traditions of his people, and offers a single, stiff nod toward Chase. Thelen, war leader, quietly. You have won, by the rules. Chase meets his gaze, his own expression a mix of relief and unspoken understanding. The challenge is over. The fight is done. But now, the true battle begins, the one that lies between the threads of fate and the traditions that bind them all. Laria stands near the ceremonial hearth, her silver-blue eyes focused on the sky, the light of the third moon casting a soft glow on her luminous skin. As Chase approaches, she turns to him, the fierce warrior mask she had worn for so long now softened, her features vulnerable, her shoulders no longer held in rigid defense. She meets his gaze with a quiet grace, her voice a soft whisper amidst the heavy silence. Laria, softly, almost to herself. You have won. But the bond is still a burden for both of us. Her words hang in the air, laced with the tension of tradition. She stands there, no longer the untouchable huntress of the Moonlight Clan, but a woman, caught between duty and desire, between the call of her ancestors and the whisper of her own heart. The weight of the ancient bond presses down upon her, but there is something new now, a flicker of understanding, of possibility. Chase, softly. We can find a way to make this work, together. He steps closer to her, his words laden with sincerity. The weight of the bond, of what it means for both of them, is still present, but there is an unspoken understanding between them, a shared recognition that what they face is not just tradition, but a chance to forge a new path. The oppressive silence of the moment seems to shift, allowing a space for something different: hope. The third moon rises higher, its light bathing the entire settlement in a pale, silvery glow. The forest around them seems to hold its breath, the stars above twinkling in silent watch. Time feels suspended, as if the very universe itself is waiting for the next chapter to unfold. Laria's hand, so cold and distant before, now reaches out. She takes Chase's hand, her touch gentle yet firm, as if testing the waters of this new connection, of this future they might create together. Laria, whispering, "Perhaps this was meant to be." Her words carry a weight of ancient wisdom, but also something more, something fresh, something born of the understanding between them. She's no longer just a product of her people's traditions. She is her own woman, with a choice. And in that moment, the universe seems to hold its breath, as if it, too, is waiting for the answer. Chase, smiling. Maybe the arrow found its mark after all, not in flesh, but in the heart. Laria's lips curl into the faintest of smiles, the corners of her eyes softening. For the first time, she allows herself to truly see him not as an outsider, not as a conqueror, but as an equal. The weight of tradition, the burden of the bond, shifts in that moment. They stand together, not as warriors bound by fate, but as two souls finding their way in a world that is as new to them as it is ancient. The moon above casts its light over them, the forest alive with the sounds of rustling leaves and distant calls. The silvery people, still standing in awe, begin to murmur among themselves, their eyes filled with a new understanding. The bond between Chase and Laria, though forged in the heat of ancient customs, is not one that will be easily broken. But it is also one that will be shaped by their choices, by the path they decide to walk together. And as the night deepens and the stars above burn brighter, a new chapter begins not just for Chase and Laria, but for the entire silvery people. A new tradition, born not of rigid rules, but of understanding, respect, and a future where both their worlds might come together. In the heart of the settlement, beneath the watchful gaze of the third moon, they find a quiet peace. The silence is no longer oppressive, but full of promise, a promise of what is yet to come. The air in the clearing is thick with the scent of damp earth and the faint sweetness of alien flowers that sway in the gentle evening breeze. The sky above is painted in hues of deep amber and violet as the two suns begin their slow descent beyond the horizon, their light filtering through the dense canopy of the towering trees. The shadows grow long, stretching like fingers across the ground, while the soft, luminous glow of the third moon begins to rise higher, casting a silver hue over the landscape. Chase and Laria stand side by side, their silhouettes framed by the fading light of the suns. Between them, there is a quiet understanding, an unspoken bond forged not by the traditions that once bound them, but by their mutual desire to build something new, something of their own. Chase's pulse is steady, his breath slow, and though the weight of the past few days lingers, there is a sense of calm in the air, a gentle release of tension that has gripped them both since the moment they met. They stand on the edge of the clearing, surrounded by the lush, verdant growth of the alien forest. Massive trees with silvered bark tower above them, their branches interwoven like the threads of an ancient tapestry. The leaves shimmer with a faint iridescence, catching the last rays of the sun before night fully embraces the land. Every now and then, a soft rustling sound moves through the underbrush, a reminder that the forest is alive, that the world around them is always changing, always evolving. Laria turns her head slightly, her silver hair catching the light of the rising moon, her expression soft yet resolute. The once unyielding lines of her face, shaped by years of tradition and duty, have begun to soften. Her eyes, which once held the weight of centuries-old customs, now reflect something new, hope, perhaps, or the possibility of something different. Her lips are barely parted, as if she too is savoring the moment, the rare stillness that has settled over them both. Laria, quietly. This This is not what I expected." Her voice, once sharp and commanding, now carries a weightless quality, as if the burdens of her past have begun to lift. Chase stands beside her, his gaze fixed on the horizon where the last of the suns dips beneath the line of the forest. The sky is alive with colors he's never seen before, shifting and swirling like a liquid dream. The air smells different here now, fresher, cleaner, as if the very land is responding to the change in the air, in them. Chase, softly. "No, but it's something better. Something real." For a moment, they are silent, their thoughts intertwined with the sounds of the forest around them, the hum of insects, the distant cry of a creature unknown to Chase, the rustle of leaves stirred by the night's gentle breath. The third moon climbs higher, its pale glow illuminating the world in silver, casting soft shadows that flicker and dance as if alive. In the distance, the silvery settlement, once a place of tension and doubt for Chase, now appears as a peaceful, thriving community. The bridges of woven vines sway gently in the breeze, the soft light of bioluminescent crystals casting an otherworldly glow over the structures nestled among the great trees. The air here is different, full of life and the promise of what could come. The silvery people, though distant at first, now seem more open, their eyes filled with curiosity rather than suspicion. Chase looks down at Laria, his hand brushing against hers in a simple gesture of solidarity. The bond that once felt like a trap, something to be escaped, now carries a weight of meaning that neither of them had expected. It's no longer a chain, it's a connection, one that has the potential to change the course of both their lives. Laria, reflectively. "Do you think we can change everything?" Chase smiles, his heart light as he looks at the woman who had once been his captor, his adversary, and now, his equal. The uncertainty of the past seems distant now, fading like the last light of the suns. His voice is filled with warmth, the future bright in his mind's eye. Chase, with conviction. "Maybe not everything. But together, we can change enough." He steps closer, the distance between them closing as naturally as if they had always been meant to walk this path together. Laria's hand slips into his, the coolness of her skin a reminder of the alien world they share, yet the warmth between them is undeniable. The past few days have been filled with battles, with tests of skill, strength, and willpower, but now, in this moment, there is peace. There is understanding. The sound of the forest quiets for a brief moment, and in the stillness, Chase feels it a connection deeper than any of the trials they have faced. Not bound by traditions, but forged by their own choices, by their own will. This is their beginning. Laria, whispering, with a hint of a smile. Perhaps this bond was meant to be, after all. Chase smiles in return, his gaze lifting to the third moon, now high in the sky. Its silver glow washes over them both, casting long shadows and painting the world in ethereal light. The landscape below is peaceful, but it holds so much potential. There are no more trials, no more expectations to meet, only the promise of a future that is theirs to create. The arrow, which once symbolized a bond of duty, now represents the freedom they have to choose their own destiny. As they stand together, the camera slowly pulls back, the image widening to reveal the sweeping landscape, the dense forest, the peaceful settlement, and the endless sky above. The night has come, and with it, a new chapter for both Chase and Laria. They are no longer bound by fate or tradition, but by something deeper, by the choice to walk this path together, hand in hand, into the unknown. The moon above shines brighter, its light reflecting off the peaceful world around them. And with that, the future unfolds. The promise of new beginnings, built on understanding, respect, and the hope that they can change the world. Thank you for watching the UFO Enigma. The adventures between alien civilizations will continue. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more mysterious and thrilling stories from the far reaches of space. Wishing you an exciting and unexpected journey through the universe.